Today I went to search for something online and I realized that I got to a news site and the news was popping up. It was via video. And so I got intrigued. There was some local news about subway killings, and then I went around the country. I spent about 10 minutes looking at killings from Atlanta and Chicago. And with, with each video that showed up of the news, I got more and more entranced. It was like I was comatose. And with each new video, I spent about 15 minutes just going around the country going, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. And I got into a state where I had to stop myself and I said, get out of this, just get out of this now. Nene, remind yourself, this is not what's happening in your world today. So it's not my present reality, and it is a reality in the world somewhere. But I had to catch myself because it was easy to really go down this rabbit hole. And the rabbit hole would have paralyzed me to not begin my day, to be in a fear factor, and to basically want to get back under the covers and hide. And so I decided to start the video today with this because we all are faced with such fear and terror and violence in the world. Should that dictate our lives? And what impact does that actually have on our mental health and our framework of physical health? I will be doing some topics dealing with stress and depression during this pandemic. It has reached epidemic levels, as has, the numbers of COVID-19. So I'm here to put it into a different perspective, that we need to, as they say on the airplanes, take the oxygen mask and put it on yourself first. Because if you don't take care of yourself, then how will you ever take care of your family, your friends, your neighbors, your extended family, your workers, your coworkers, and on into the world that we're trying to heal, the world that we're trying to save? Whether you believe in climate change or not, doesn't really matter. It's not a religion. It's not quite a science. It's a science and an art of understanding that there are people suffering in the world. So when you look at yourself and your own health, where do you want to position yourself into the realm of healing? And we're really going through a paradigm shift these days, aren't we? I mean, it used to be there was one illness and one treatment. So the paradigm was, well, if you had a genetic predisposition to an illness, you felt like you were the victim. Oh, my family has it. And so the idea is that if my family has it, then I'm surely destined to get it myself. And so the idea is really that you're not getting it yourself. You can actually change it and shift and go through an idea where it's not just the genes that you were born with, that if your mother had it and your father had it, that you would definitely get it. Like there's a gene for colon cancer. Does that necessarily mean that you'll be getting colon cancer? No, it doesn't. We now have the study of epigenetics. So it's the study which is above and around gene structure and gene DNA coding that we can inherit. But the idea is, are we turning on those genes? We may have those genes on our system, but are we turning them on? And what really we find turns them on is the environment around us. And so the environment is not only the physical environment, so it's the air that we breathe, the chemicals that are in the air, the toxins. It's also the food that we eat. It's the energy around us. It's our emotions. It's the people around us. Is there fear? Is there anger? Are you in a stressed state? Are you in a depressed state? I mean, how does all of this impact us is really the study of epigenetics. So we find that we are now able, in so many ways, to determine our health. And, we see even with the COVID-19 pandemic, The people, unfortunately, who are most at risk of dying, most at risk of hospitalizations, are those people who have pre-existing conditions. So things like obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, they are the ones that are most at risk. And myself, being a holistic practitioner for 37 years, I have always believed, and again, it's the science and art of health and healing, that you can heal yourself because the body is miraculous. Now, the idea is that most of these chronic conditions are really from chronic bad environment, bad food choices. And how do we become obese? I mean, there are genetic factors that may predispose us to obesity. However, again, it's turning on. So is your diet filled with sugar and junk food and eating out a lot, eating fried foods, eating saturated fats? I mean, those are the things, the conditions that would lead us on to becoming obese, leading us on to becoming diabetic, and leading us on to what we call the metabolic syndrome, which is the trifecta of cardiovascular disease, the buildup of plaque, inflammatory conditions, sugar, and obesity and diabetes. These are all chronic conditions that we are not necessarily born with, but the idea is that it develops over poor conditions in our environment and in our food. And the American way of life, we see the American way of eating, has been transposed to so much around the world that now in other countries that never had these conditions, now we're seeing high rates of obesity and high rates of diabetes and high rates of cardiovascular disease. And very simply, it's directly linked to the way of eating, the style of eating, overeating, and poor choices around us. So getting back to that, I mean, the idea is also that what predisposes us to illness is our emotional state. It really is how we think, the stress that we're under. And we know, looking at some traditional Ayurvedic and Hindu and Eastern, Japanese, Chinese systems, they look at what we call the chakras, the energy centers of the body. And the low energy centers are the three lower, the 1, 2, and 3 chakras, and that would be the root chakra. It's the sacral chakra and the solar plexus, like in our stomach. So really, it has to do a lot with emotional states, but surrounding our elimination, the root chakra, surrounding our whether we're eliminating toxins out of our body, the solar plexus area on our stomach, our intestinal tract, our gastrointestinal tract. The upper chakras, the 3, have more to do with spiritual dimension. And so we have the crown chakra, we have the third eye, we have the throat. So more to do with communication and intuition, and more of an intuitive knowing about things. And the top crown chakra is enlightenment. And it's all balanced with the heart chakra. So the heart chakra is our feelings, our love. But we also know in our system, it has to do with the cardiovascular system. Is our heart blocked? Do we have emotional pain in our heart? What kind of emotional stress do we have? So we're really bringing the best of Western science and understanding with the best of Eastern, more intuitive understanding. Thousands of years, these cultures have studied this. And so it's time now, 2022, to mesh the best of what we know about all the studies and all the cultures around the world. And let's take that paradigm shift and let's look at healing within. I've been saying for years, make your body a better place to live. It all starts, we're here as physical beings, physical entities. And, in the Eastern tradition, the body is the temple. We don't usually treat our bodies like temples. The highest good, so that our bodies perform and function for us well into our hundreds. Ideally, that will be the case for me and for you. Why not believe in the miracle of life and the miracle of rejuvenation? Because my message is, at any age, you can recreate yourself. Start with simple tools. Start with the idea that you can, at any age, recreate yourself from the inside out if you're giving your body certain tools. And I always say, start with the basics. When I was in college and I was studying all things, I wanted to know the complexity. I wanted to get into the deep and dirty details. I wanted to know, like, if it was philosophy, it was Buddhism, if it was science, I wanted to know the deep inner core. In biochemistry or chemistry or organic, I loved doing all those experiments. I loved getting into the nitty-gritty of the detail. And as I've gotten older, and this may just be a function of age, I tend to take a little bit more of a relaxed position about things. I remember even when I was young and I had to study the multiplication table, I gave myself a challenge. Well, what if I forgot the multiplication table? It's just how my mind worked. What if, what if, what if? Mm-hmm. And so I challenge you all to start fresh. It's a new year, new you. Start fresh and take on the mission, which is my mission and my passion, which is at any age you can recreate yourself. And how do we do that? I mean, first we want to see, we have physical dispositions, we have physical ailments, but don't worry about how you do it. Start with some basic tools. Start with some tools of, and we know that our emotional state really helps us release our hormones. So in good states, we're producing more serotonin, oxytocin, kind of the love hormone. In times of stress and exertion and fear and flight, we produce more of the cortisol, and we produce more of the adrenaline, which is, or norepinephrine, the fight or flight. So we're ready to fight or we're ready to run. And so those are not the tools of healing. I mean, those are temporary hormones that will get us out of a tight situation, out of immediate crisis. But long term, if we're under that stress and under that duress, those are not the hormones which will help us heal. We need to be in a more quiet, meditative state for healing. And so I would say, let's take it on to have this be your best year ever. And recreation begins with some simple things. Don't try to throw yourself into some program, like a New Year's resolution that you won't possibly achieve. So I would say 5 things to start with. What are the 5 easiest things? Start with drinking more water. Simple. Try to get up to 1 quart a day. Move up to 2 quarts a day. Move up to 3 quarts a day. Move up to 4 quarts a day. And as you're doing this, evaluate, how do I feel? And you'll see the more water you drink, the less caffeine you'll drink, the less alcohol you'll drink, and the less you'll want to eat. It will be filling for you. So start with that. Don't focus on what you need to get rid of necessarily. Just begin to add some of these tools into your program and start fresh. And keep a running diary of what's going on. Okay, so 1, drink more water. 2, every morning, center yourself with morning breathing. Most of us have alarms. Make it a soothing alarm so you're not jumping out of bed right away. And just before you actually get out of bed, you can still be lying there or you can sit up in bed. Start with the breath. So start with the technique of breathing in through the nose and exhaling slowly through the mouth. So if you start with a count of 3 inhalation, then double that to 6 exhalation. And what you can do is then increase slowly. So you can start with 5 inhalation, hold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 10 exhalation. Count to 10 and you exhale. And you can start prolonging that even more. You can start with 10 then. 10 deep inhalation through the nostrils, hold it, maybe a count of 5, and then exhale slowly, a count of 20. The more you do it, the more it will become like second nature. So, water, breathing. The next thing I like is to say, I am willing to let go of. Letting go, creating a vacuum, all those things that no longer fit in your life, that no longer serve you, that no longer have meaning for you, that are toxic for you. So just start with the willingness. The words are, I am willing to let go of, you can fill in the blanks, or if you don't know what they are, I am willing to let go of every person, place, or thing, situation, condition that no longer serves me at my highest level. I am willing to let go of any person, any place, anything, any condition, any environment, any thought, any self-limitation. Again, fill in the blanks for you, or use this general letting go that no longer serves me at my highest level, at my highest self. So be willing to let go, let go, let go. And in doing the letting go, you're basically creating a vacuum where now you can allow other things to come in that can serve you. The other step is actually having some affirmations and affirming to yourself, your mind. And remember, your brain is like a computer. So you're giving it now. You're letting go of information you no longer need, and you're attracting in or putting in information now that will bring you to your next level. So you can affirm to yourself, my immune system is working perfectly fine. My body is healing. My white blood cells are doing their job. I am dropping 5 pounds. I affirm that right here, right now, I am in a healthy lifestyle. I affirm right here, right now, that I am in only healthy relationships. And it may have started like, I'm willing to let go of all relationships that are no longer healthy. And now you're in relationships that are healthy. So you're releasing in the letting go. I'm willing to release. I'm willing to let go. And then the next stage of that is you affirm, my immune system is working perfectly fine. I am feeling really fantastic. All good things come to me. So you're releasing, and then you're attracting. You're magnetically now attracting. The next stage of it is taking and centering yourself by just taking one step at a time. Don't necessarily jump into the future. Stay mindful. Stay in the present moment. So the idea is stay into the 1 second. Start with 1 second. This second, I am here. Be mindful. This is what's called mindful healing. So you're staying focused, you're staying attentive on just this breath, just this second, just this moment in time. And you're not jumping into an illusory future. Or what if something happens? What if the sky falls in? What if it snows tomorrow? If it's snowing right now, stay in the moment. It's snowing. Present tense, always present tense, never future tense, and never past tense. Mindfulness is staying in the present moment, because the present moment now, the one step at a time, takes care of all of the future. The future becomes the present. Now, it doesn't mean that you don't dream, and it doesn't mean that you don't have expectations, but in the moment, to start fresh, what you want to do is begin right now. So it's the centering of taking one step at a time and not overwhelming yourself with what if something else happens. So to recap, the 5 things are, let's go back to staying in the breath, drinking plenty of water, the willing to release. I'm willing to release. I am then affirming what is true and present. And again, you may not feel in the moment that it's true. My immune system is working perfectly fine. My immune system is working perfectly fine. You may not know or feel that that's true. You might be in the midst of COVID. You might be in the midst of a cold, a flu. You might be in the midst of some storm, some inflammatory storm. whatever that is, just keep, it's that affirmation to your brain. And remember, the brain, as the nerve centers go, is the biggest receiver of information. So your brain is really receiving all the information. And unbeknownst to you, unconscious to you, it is picking up neurological symptoms, signals, hormonal signals, constantly, all the time. And remember that the body is not static. The body is constantly in motion. And so there is naturally a recreation. Cells die and cells are born. So the idea is it's a constant turnover. It's a constant flow of energy. So don't think that, how you felt yesterday is the same way that you will feel today, or necessarily the same way you'll feel tomorrow. You're all in constant flux. And so work with that energy. You may not know how to go from here to there, but allow your body in its miraculous way to take you there. As long as today you are taking care of yourself, you are working with healing yourself, and you're working with the best is yet to come.